Got some other films to show you this morning on breakfast.
Oh, my
these are a bit different, though.
Yes. Do you remember any of these? You might rather forget these traumatic public information films of the 1970s and 80s. I don't remember any of them. They are, in fact, part of a new nostalgia boom. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was about the dangers of water and electricity, yeah.
Oh, no.
That was about the danger of going to the library, that one.
That's about the danger of
we will
video?
explore why
No.
these are back. These are a thing. There you go. And people are collecting them and watching them back and getting scared.
Oh, I see. They're scary, but in a retro way, so therefore not really that scary.
They look still pretty scary.
I'm scared of everything.
We'll terrify our socks off as the programme goes on. But go and hide behind the sofa because it all gets a bit scary now.
We're quite nervous about this, aren't we, John? Yeah. From terrifying public information films to unsettling children's TV programmes, watching the telly in the 1970s and 80s could be a very weird and sometimes scary experience.
And now, as we approach Halloween, those nightmarish old shows are fueling a nostalgia boom. So we sent our Jane McCobbin to find out more, as long as she promised not to talk to strangers or fly a kite near a pylon.
Never.
As a child, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I seem to remember Jigsaw being particularly scary. Mr. Nosybong, Doctor Who, that was terrifying.
Hello, Word Watchers.
It's a big responsibility, saving the universe every Saturday.
There was a kind of attitude that kids wouldn't be really that frightened of things.
John, we're through here, mate.
Actor John Thompson was raised on scares, and he's still hooked.
It's a bit of a rotten start, that, really, but I'm sure we can edit it.
So tonight, he's on stage recording the Scarred for Life podcast, dedicated to the TV trauma of Gen X childhoods.
We have this thing at Scarred for Life called the 4:45 Club. The concept being that at 4:15 you get Sooty show, Michael Bentine's potty time. 4:45, the gloves are off, it's the watershed for kids, you've got all sorts of terrifying programmes.
There was also, at weekends, between the banana splits and all the cartoons, terrifying public information films.
Properly terrifying.
Proper terrifying, but they did the job.
I am the spirit of dark and lonely water.
The warnings came in thick and fast. Farm accidents. Stranger danger.
He can look like just anybody.
And who can forget? Electric pylons.
If you were to put certificates on these things, really, they would be more like 15s.
You all right, Sharon? Yeah, I think so.
It had to have a lasting impact.
I feel like the generation of kids that grew up between the 60s and the 80s is the haunted generation. We were the kids that were affected by the weirdness of our childhood television.
And if anyone's been brave enough to follow these shadows into the woods, it's this man.
Bob! Bob!
Bob Fisher.
You're straight off the back of the psychedelic revolution. We've all got colour tellies. We see this stuff at the same time. If you're a kid, you go to school the next morning and you absolutely pick this stuff to death. Even the stuff that wasn't intended to outright scare you just seeped in somewhere.
How many childhood fever dreams were filled with this soundtrack? Today, Bob Fisher's childhood chills have been turned into stories on vinyl for grown-ups.
Patch, Bob, patch.
Tales to capture the eerie, the folky, the faintly unsettling, with writing partner Andrew T. Smith and musical partner Sandra Kerr. She wrote the music for Bagpuss.
Our memories of Bagpuss are so weird.
And Bagpuss was wide awake.
In the 70s, there was this whole idea about childhood to play safely with danger. If they don't have weirdness and oddness in their childhood in a safe way, what happens to them when they get weirdness and danger later in their lives? How do they deal with it? We will gunge it, then we'll sponge it. That is better now, don't you think?
It's still weird. It's still weird.
I can't go. I want a mug of warm milk, please. Thanks, Sandra.
So here we are in the video shop, and this is the little bit of time travel, isn't it? There's nowhere else like this, if you remember.
70s kids had to grow up fast, thanks to this, the VHS.
still alive here in Toxteth, in one of the UK's last video shops.
The interesting thing is that Margaret Thatcher cited the Toxteth riots as a part of the degradation of society that had come about because of the video nasties.
Because of
horror tapes at home, and now society's falling apart.
There was moral panic.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
MPs watched horrors in Parliament.
It was so offensive and so appalling that some members had to leave the room.
Legislation soon enforced age limits.
Anybody could go into the video shop and hire out the thing, which is genuinely terrifying. And here we can see a copy of it. It has got no age certificates.
But the hammy effects of back then are finding a new audience now.
For you, it's the old horrors, not the new horrors. Why?
I would say mostly because of the practical effects.
You mean like a real monster that somebody's built?
It's on the set, it's with them, it's with the cast, and it's terrifying and it's uneasy to watch. I just feel like films today lack that.
Evelyn Hollop, you weren't even born back then, but this is the stuff you love.
I was born in '93, but I was lucky enough to grow up with all the good stuff, I think what kids are exposed to now is not horror movies or horror TV shows, but actual real-life horror. The things that they should be getting exposed to are, horror cartoons.
And she nearly got eaten up.
Animated things that do touch on these topics of death and, yes, sometimes, gruesome things, but it's fake. Because that is where true horror and artistry is, but that's where the horror is storytelling and comfort, rather than it trying to be scarier than anything you read on the news on a Monday morning.
Dark tales thrive in times of turmoil.
SOS, find my Daleks!
They did back then just as they do now.
It might be horrific, it might be scary, but at the time, it brought kind of a comfort to you. It's that nostalgia that people are seeking out because it made them feel happy. It takes them back to a time when things weren't as bad.
Yesterday's nightmares, today's nostalgia. A safe thrill in an unsafe world.
Don't go into the cellar!
Jane McCubbin, BBC News.
That clown.
Scary.
The little girl.
I think the public information films were scarier, though. Not that I ever watched a horror film. I wasn't allowed.
Let's speak to Mike Muncer from the Evolution of Horror podcast. Good morning to you, Mike. What scares you?
Oh, my God, everything scares me. Although real life scares me more than movies, I'll be honest.
And is that what this is all about, basically? People watching these older films and getting a little bit scared, almost like an escape in a way?
I think so. I think with horror movies and that kind of thing, there's a kind of safe scare, isn't there? There's a kind of cathartic scare. And actually, even the stuff that terrified us as kids, we actually now kind of look back on quite fondly and quite nostalgically, I think.
So when you talk about the evolution of horror in your podcast, that's what you're talking about, is it that what scares us has changed over the years?
Yeah, it does seem that way. Horror changes from decade to decade. You could go all the way back to the 1930s, where you had the kind of classic Gothic monsters. It was very much a kind of fear of the outsider, the other. Movies like Dracula and Frankenstein, these were kind of much more overtly monstrous and fantastical. And then that started to change through the 1960s. You had movies like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and suddenly, the monsters could look like real people. And then we saw a wave of quite violent, nasty movies like the video nasties that were being discussed just then through the 1970s. And things kind of changed from there. So horror definitely changes. There are different kind of trends and cycles throughout. And it is often to do with what we, society, are scared of.
And how much of a difference has technology made to horror at the moment? Because I guess if you're watching a horror film now, in the back of your head, you're constantly thinking, well, I know that's not real because it's CGI.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's something about the sort of the older practical effects that were done in camera that we love. And there's something that connects more in our brain, I think, even though they can sometimes look a bit hokey and fake. I think there's something about knowing that it was really there, that though they were models or animatronics or puppets or people in makeup, that still feels more believable, I think, and there's something creepier about it than just seeing something that's been made on a computer and digitally. So I think for particularly horror fans, we really love that era of the kind of 70s and the 80s when there was so much of that, so many practical in-camera effects.
We're seeing here a clip of Stranger Things on Netflix, which is kind of taps into that, doesn't it? It kind of goes back to the 80s in a kind of retro way.
Yeah, I think 80s nostalgia has really sort of blown up over the last decade or so. For whatever reason, we've really kind of wanted to go back to that particular era. Stranger Things really encapsulates that. It's got that kind of 80s vibe, that synthy music. Everything looks like the movies from filmmakers like John Carpenter or David Cronenberg, movies like Halloween and that kind of thing. Again, I think maybe it's the generation of people that are now making the films were the ones that grew up at that time. So they're really calling back to their childhoods and they're thinking about the stuff that excited them and scared them. So yeah, we're getting a lot of 80s nostalgia these days.
Well, you've made us all feel a lot better about getting scared, Mike. It's lovely to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Not everyone. Not everyone. Loads of you are telling us this morning, Steve, Alison, Lisa, that it was the singing, ringing tree. Do you remember that kids' show?
I don't remember that.
That was scary. I can't watch it. It frightened the life out of me.
Do you know what was terrifying? Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yes,
Child catcher.
the child catcher, yeah.
Woo.
Please don't bring that back. Right.
Properly scared.
Properly scared. Lots of you have been telling us, though, that you're more concerned about the way that goods in the shops are shrinking, that companies are making them smaller to charge you the same or maybe even more.
Yeah, so toothpaste, coffee, still paying the same price. Rob has noticed margarine's reduced from 500 grams to 450 and 1 kilo tubs going down to 900 with the cost actually going up. Lots of you saying that.
Mandy from Worthing said she recently found an old tub of chocolates at her mum's house from the late 70s. She said it weighed more than 2 kilos. Now the same thing, 600 grams. I wonder what the price difference is.
It's probably better for us to have smaller boxes of chocolates, maybe.
Indeed,
anyway,
right.
That's it from us today.